I guess I might as well show you this part. I wasn't going to show you it, but you know, because this had already been installed from before, there's a little screw up here for where you connect the ground wire. That ground wire is already screwed in there because on the back side of a light fixture, lots of times you only have the black and white wire coming out. Okay? Oh, that's right. When I took these off, because they're using yellow wire nuts, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, I'm just going to test this, and it should be off, and it is. And if I want to double check that, I can turn the light switch on, get back up here, and the light is on, the tester, okay? Sometimes you might look at a light switch thinking, oh yeah, I got it off, and then forget that it's a three-way light switch. Like maybe it's controlled in another location too. Usually not in a closet, okay? Because you might think, oh yeah, I got the power shut off, and you're actually turning it on or something because the light switch was up and you thought it was a single pull light switch and not a three-way switch or something like that. Okay, so make sure the power is off. And see, these wire nuts, these are yellow wire nuts, and there's only one wire up there, and on the back side of your light you're going to have little stranded wire. See how small this is? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist this all together. See on here, there's only a black and white wire. So black to black, white to white. How hard could that be? But I'm going to go through it in a little bit of a detail. But because these wires are so small, see that? You could get away with orange wire nuts. Orange wire nuts are one size smaller than this. I'm surprised they used yellow, because sometimes you might tighten something up and it might start spinning. Then you don't want that. And you know, when I looked up there, those wires look like 12 gauge wires, not 14 gauge wire. If that was 14 gauge wire, the wires would be actually a little bit smaller in diameter. Okay, those wires there. And see, because I took the yellow wire nuts off, I wanted to use the same wire nuts again, and I couldn't just screw them up there without the other wires on there because it just spun. So do you see what I did to the ends? I just rolled it over, and then I could take my yellow wire nuts that I just took off, and I can screw them back up there. And they were up there for weeks for me painting the ceilings, the walls, and doing all the construction work and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, hey, I'll just reuse the yellow wire nuts. Lots of electricians frown upon using the existing wire nuts, but these are hard plastic ones. I don't think there's any problem with using these, okay? But if you have a question, you can throw these away and you can get new wire nuts. And if I was going to be installing this brand new, I would use the orange wire nuts. Now, if there were two wires coming together, and then two white wires, two black wires, for something like that, and I took the light fixture on there, you know, I would use the yellow wire nuts for that. See? Okay. So certain aspects of it, I do. Okay, let's just take a look at this here real quick. I'll try to get my fingers out of the way. With the stranded wire, I'm just going to take the end and twist it all together. Sometimes this kind of frays and comes apart when you're undoing the wire nuts. And depending who installed it, because see, I'm right-handed, so I'm twisting this way. The last person might have been left-handed when he put the wire nuts on. It could have frayed all this stuff out. And then, because I'm twisting it a different way, I just have to work at it, okay? And these wires are fine. They're sticking out plenty, okay? These are, let's get you up here. See how long those are? Look, Now, does it really need to be that long? No, but when I go up there on those wires, okay, this is the black wire. I'm going to take this and I'm going to wrap it around the black wire that's up on the ceiling. Okay, and now if I didn't do that, I would have to cut this shorter and then just put it on straight. So I could do it that way too. And see, there's insulation on the back side of here, and there's two mounting screws. You see these? See these two mounting screws? And you see how it's bigger and then the slot goes smaller, see? Well, that's designed for their installation screws. You could put the screws right up in the ceiling box first, let the screws stick down far enough, fit it over the bigger hole, okay? And then you do that on both sides, and then as you take this, then you twist it to get into the smaller area before you tighten the wire, or before you tighten the heads of the screws. Well, I don't have the existing mounting screws, so what do you suppose I'm going to use? I'll show you here in a minute. Ah, yes indeedy, my old standby drywall coarse threaded screws. Now, I've always carried these around. These are 1.25 inches. See here, 1.25 inches, coarse thread drywall screws. You know, they also have these in fine threads, and you use the fine threads for sheet metal. So when you go to the store, make sure if you want coarse thread, you get the box that's coarse thread. Don't put these into wood, or don't put the thin sheet metal screws into wood and stuff. They don't have as much of a holding power. And see, of course I got two sizes here, and I always carry drywall screws. See, these are 1 5/8. So I carry 1 inch. Do you know they have 1 inch? I never even knew that a couple years ago. I thought the smallest was 1.25 inches, but they have 1.25 inches, 1 inch, 1 5/8. I also have 2 inch, I have 2.5 inch, and I have 3 inch. I never know when I'm going to use these screws. Okay? And normally, for something like this, I would use the 1.25 inch screws. Okay, but this time I'm going to use 1 5/8 inch because I want the screw to stick down a little bit, down lower, coming from the mounting box up here. Because I'm just going to take it and screw it right to the mounting box mounting screws. You see there's one screw there, and see that screw right there? Right, that hole, that goes up into a screw. But see how it's indentated up higher than the ceiling? Well, that's taken, if I use the 1.25 inch sheetrock screws, I've already got 1/4 inch of it that's sticking above the ceiling, don't I? And so that's almost like using a 1 inch screw. And plus, once I get the screws in there, I've got to screw it up far enough in there because see, it's got a metal clip thing on there. That means the first 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch. Beyond that, I've got no threads. So I've already wasted 3/8 of my screw. And it's going to be really tight if I use the 1.25 inch. So I'm going to break down and use my 1 5/8. I always try to use the smaller screw first if I can, because you know these screws are expensive. So obviously the 1 5/8, because they're longer, you don't get as many in the box as the 1 1/4. Okay, and so I'm going to use the 1 5/8, and see they just barely fit here. If anything, they're too tight. But see, if I hold my mouth, well, ooh, maybe not. Oh yeah, see, there I got it. You gotta hold your mouth just right, and see, it kind of has to go in at an angle. So when I get up there, I might not be able to put those in there, and I might have to do it a different way. And I want to see something on here. No, that's number 6. See, sometimes they come in different thicknesses and measurements. Sometimes you can see a number 8, and I think that tells you the size of the head. Now see, that's number 6, and I've done one of these light fixtures before, and it took a little bit of doing to get the screw up in there. Okay. Because you're going to be on the back side. But I'm going to try it with 1 5/8 screws. Okay, and then I'll just have to have it up there and kind of work at it a little bit and get it through that hole. And I think I'll be able to do it. All right, we're gonna try that anyways. And so my first thing, I've got to kind of do some prep, do a little prep work on this, on these wires. We'll just get it like this. Hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. I mean, you should get the gist of everything. And let's just move these wires out of the way. So I'm going to take these 1 5/8 and they go right up in this box. It's the plastic box. So see, I've got this thing sticking way down, so I got plenty of room. I don't want to use anything longer than 1 5/8. I don't know how long the threads go up inside this thing. And the last thing I want to do is get it up in there and crack something out, okay? And so now I've got to decide on these. Do I want to pull that back out straight? And if I want to, I can take my pliers, grab my pliers there, grab this, and kind of pull it down. And it's kind of tricky because you got to hold this at the right place. You know, then you've got to re-straighten this thing out. And if you're bending it too much, you might be concerned to think, okay, am I bending it too much? Is it going to break off? Generally, it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna break off. Now I'm gonna do this one different for you, okay? I'm gonna cut this one off, and you can use your metal cutters. And did you know if you don't have any metal cutters like that, you can cut them off with a pair of pliers. Let's just see. There's a little slot in here on the pliers. Now I'll show you that here. Let's see if I can show you. Right? That little section from there down. Did you know that cuts wire? Yeah, you might not have known that. Just for that reason, good thing you're watching my video, right? So, I mean, I'm not even going to pull that out of the way. I'm going to get this up there, and I'm going to cut that off, if I can. Oh, look at that. It's not. Oh, okay, there you go. I got it. Okay, cut it off, just like that, with my wire cutters, or with my pliers. Now my pliers, I got my pliers at Lowe's a few years ago, and this is Cobalt. It's called Cobalt. I've always had a problem with these pliers. Anytime I try to squeeze on there, look at that. I mean, I've got to lift out on it. It's not designed. It's not supposed to do that. And I hate these pliers, and I think that's why the cutter was giving me a little bit of a trouble there. And they told me, hey, just bring them back. You got 100% warranty on them. So if anything happens to it, you can take them back and get a free pair. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm just taking my wire strippers, and I'm stripping off a little piece. And I'm looking at the black one. I'm going to make that one just about the same, about a 1/2 inch, 5/8. Okay, and these yellow wire nuts will still work on there. Okay, in a pinch. And like I said, I would have really preferred orange. And I could use my orange ones. I got some orange ones, some brand new orange ones, and then I could throw my yellows in the bag with all my other wire nuts, and then I could use these yellows for later on. But hey, you do what you want. There's always options to everything you do. Okay, so now I've got to kind of hold this up, and I can twist this up like that, and then I've got my stranded wire is just a hair longer, so I'm just going to twist it on there, and then hold my wire nut on there, and twist it on there. I want to make sure this thing goes tight, and yep, it's going tight, okay? There. And you want to pull on your stranded wire to make sure it's on there, okay? Sometimes you might think your wire nut's tight, and all of a sudden it comes off. So that's why I always check that. And I've got a little kink in this wire, but that's okay because that's giving me a little bit more of a thickness for that wire. So my yellow wire nut will fit on there no problemos. Okay, I want to get my finger out of the way there. I want the wire to stay straight. Okay, get that on there. You don't have to be an electrician to do this. You just want to make sure your power's off. Okay, so I'm pulling on that, everything's fine. You should be able to let go of that. I've got a light bulb in here. I'm gonna take the light bulb out. Okay, that way it gives me a little bit more room to see where those little anchors are. Get the insulation out of my way a little bit. Now this had some tin foil on here that got ripped. The tin foil's for when the light bulb gets up there. And see, this was made years ago for incandescent bulbs, for when they get hot. This insulation or this film here, it's kind of like tin foil film. You know, protects it from getting too hot in there, but I'm probably not going to put this bulb back in there. This is an incandescent bulb, and I'll probably find an LED bulb that's just as bright, if not brighter than this, and it doesn't put off as much heat. Okay, so I'm just going to rearrange these wires, push them back up in there carefully. I got plenty of room in here because I only got one set of wires, so, but I still want to get them in there proper. Okay, zip them around there. Get your grubby fingers off of your ceiling. Make sure your wire is not in the way of your mounting screw that goes up in there and all that. And now it's all about a feel for where those screws are. Okay, and I wish I had some more light in here, but I don't. I could take my construction light or something, and I see it. See, I just had to wiggle it a little bit. Now I got that one. Now I can feel for this other one. Oh, it came off. Look at that. That's because these other wires were. I was wanting to make sure they didn't stick out. Okay, so now I got to do it again. That's okay. I see where the screw is, so I just have to kind of wiggle it a little bit because I got the 1 5/8 screws. It's giving me a little bit extra room to do that rather than the 1 1/8. Man, I had it before, didn't I? Okay, come on. I mean, if you can't get it, you may have to either, the best thing is to get a screw that is small enough to fit on there. You don't really want to do this to, you know, take the screw out and then put it in here, then hold it up in there and try to line it up. I mean, that's another way I can do it, but I'm hoping to not have to do it that way. There. Okay, I got that one. It's just the way you hold your mouth, I guess. Boy, see, I can't really. I might have to get my phone light out or something so I can see the. Oh, I can see the screw. Oh, okay, I see it now. There. Okay, now I'm just going to twist this like that because that gives the screw more room to tighten up against the metal. Okay? Now, the mounting screws that come with this are just a hair smaller than a drywall screw. But I didn't have those, and they didn't have them when I took it down. They had some funky other screws. You just make this snug. You don't have to overdo it. Okay? There you go. For the sake of argument, I'm going to use this bulb just to make sure it works, or make sure the light fixture works. I'm making the assumption the light bulb works too, right? There you go. Now I'm gonna go and try to find an LED bulb that might work here just as well. But you can still use incandescent light bulbs. They just heat up. They take more wattage too, because this light bulb, I think it's a 60 watter. Let's just see what it is. Sometimes it's hard to see what wattage it is. And sometimes you have to go outside and look at it. I can't really tell on here. I know it's either a 40 or a 60 watt. And the replacement for an LED is probably like 13 watts or less. So anytime you can do an LED is better. Plus the LEDs last longer. Plus the LEDs don't heat up in your light fixture like an incandescent light bulb. Okay? So I'm gonna try to find one. I'll be right back.